Welcome to Outside the Pulpit. I'm your host, Lisa Metter, and if you've ever felt spiritually stuck, you're in the right place. Here, we uncover what's blocking you and discover what God sees in you. We look at the thoughts and beliefs standing in your way and learn how to live in agreement with God's Word again. Let's take the next step together. Welcome back to Outside the Pulpit. This week, we're going to talk about something that I call the missing piece. So, why you're not there yet, and the missing piece that changes everything. First of all, I'm going to just say right off the bat, I see you because I was you. I have been right where you are. You've been praying, you've been believing, you've been doing everything you know to do, and deep down, you can feel it. There is more for you. You're not imagining that. You're not making that up. Something in your spirit knows that God has a next level for you, if you will, a next chapter, a next version of you that you haven't even tapped into yet. But if you're honest, you don't know how to get there from here. And I've been right there. You're trying your best. You're showing up. You're doing your best. And yet, you still feel stuck in the same place, wondering, why am I not there yet? What am I missing? So I see you. And girl, I get you. And today, we're going to talk about that missing piece that changes everything. So let's just settle it right now. You're not stuck because you lack faith. You're not behind because God is withholding something from you. You're not confused because you're doing something wrong. You're stuck because no one ever taught you how to build belief, the kind of inner agreement that lines up and aligns your mind with what God has already said about you. Faith is spiritual, but the way I see it, belief is mental. I know that's probably going to challenge you a little bit, but hang in there with me. Belief is mental. Faith says God can. Belief says God can through me. And that's the gap most people never bridge. Proverbs 23:7 says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So, it's not as he prays, it's not as he hopes, and it's not as he wishes, but as he thinks. Let that settle in. Your thoughts shape your identity. Your identity shapes your decisions, and your decisions shape your life. So if your thoughts don't agree with your calling, you'll always, always, always feel like you're walking uphill or a step behind or whatever it is for you. The missing piece between where you are and where you're called to be is not more faith. It's belief alignment, if you will. Your mind has to agree with what God has already spoken. You cannot walk into a future that your mind is rejecting, and you cannot receive a promise that your identity does not feel worthy of. You cannot step into destiny, if you want to use that phrase, what He's planned for your life, while your inner dialogue is telling you that you're not enough. This is why Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation doesn't start with your circumstances. Y'all know that. Circumstances are neutral. It's how you think about them. So this starts with your thinking. And if we turn to Mark 9 and verse 24, that shows us that belief is something that we grow into. Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief. So belief is not automatic. Belief is built. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is identify the negative dialogue. See, your brain is wired to protect you, not propel you. It defaults to fear and doubt and worst case scenarios. But 2 Corinthians 10:5 tells us to take every thought captive. So that means you don't have to let your thoughts run wild. You don't let that narrate your future, and you don't let them define your identity. You interrupt the pattern. You say, no, that's not who I am, and that's not what God said. The next thing we're going to do is begin to create evidence for your brain, okay? Your brain needs proof, and you can give it proof. So start noticing the small wins. Start doing that. Start noticing the progress. Start noticing growth. Moments where God showed up with you. Take time to acknowledge these things. Things that are working in your life. Prayers that have been answered. This is strength that you are building to help yourself, and acknowledge the times that you had strength that you didn't have before. Man, I do that all the time. Psalms 103:2 says, forget not all his benefits. In other words, don't forget the evidence. Habakkuk 2:2, now that says, write the vision and make it plain. So write it down. Write down what God is doing. This is why I'm a big proponent of journaling, but I know it's not for everybody. I get that. Some people handwrite, some people type it, some people don't do any of it. They just mentally journal, and that's fine too. I'm simply saying acknowledge it, okay? Write down what you're becoming. Write down the evidence that belief is growing. This is how you train your brain, you train your mind to see what God sees. Let me share a personal example. The very avenue that God used to open this up for me, for years, my internal loop was, I can't lose weight. It felt true because it was familiar. It was the narrative my brain returned to automatically. One day, I challenged that story, and I decided to create evidence for my brain. I looked back through my life, and I realized something surprising. I had lost weight before, not once, but many times actually. I just never counted those experiences as real proof. When I brought that evidence into the light, my brain finally had something solid to work with. And sure enough, when I showed my brain the truth, a new belief began to grow for me. And I actually am capable of losing weight. That was really all the traction I needed. My sweet brain was just looking for some evidence. So that belief was not imaginary. I didn't make it up. And it wasn't wishful thinking. And y'all, it was not just quoting a positive affirmation. I literally had proof. It was truth in the form of evidence, and brains love evidence. And this is the exact framework that I teach. Interrupt the old narrative. Look for the truth. Give your brain something solid to build on. Your brain isn't the enemy. It's just wired to cling to familiar thoughts, not necessarily true ones. Belief is not automatic. Belief is built. You know, I think I just was never taught that. And that's why I want to share it with you. That's what felt like the missing piece all along. And then you already have the evidence. You've overcome things that you thought you couldn't, right? You've changed in ways that you never imagined. Now, I know this is true for every one of you. Your brain just needs you to bring those receipts, if you will, into the light. So your words They shape your identity. Proverbs 18:21, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So let's just flip this script and let's change this. Let's start speaking life to ourselves. Instead of saying all the things you can't do and all the things that will never happen, because y'all, I'm telling you over and over, I've been there. I've lived in that negative loop, but it does not serve us well, and it certainly doesn't move us forward in what God wants for our lives. So let's speak life to ourselves instead of death. I am capable. I am growing. I am becoming who God called me to be. I am aligned or lining up with my purpose. I am discovering my purpose. And I am worthy of the future God has for me. So you're not lying, and you're not just saying affirmations. You're really agreeing with the truth. I know this can be such a challenging step, but these little steps, they make such a difference. And what happens next is belief grows through action. Every small step that you take becomes evidence that you are capable. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Not I can think about it, and not I can pray about it, but I can do it. I literally can do it. Movement builds belief. Obedience builds identity. And action builds confidence. So you're not waiting on God. Your mind is waiting on belief. You're closer than you think, y'all. You really are. And you're way more capable than you realize. You are more prepared than you feel. God has already said yes for you. Now your thoughts need to catch up to that. That's all. So let's try this week. Let's practice belief. Find what it is that's a stumbling block for you. Let's call it out. Let's name it and recognize it and speak it, recognize it however you want to do it. Write it out, notice it, and then I want to start building that evidence. I want you to look at something that you've accomplished, something that God has done for you, where He's made Himself real for you. Write it out. Notice it. Hey, you can message me. I would love to hear about it. Believe me, I love to share this journey with people. I absolutely love it. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast. I'm so passionate about it, and my heart is in it 100%. And I like to celebrate with you, because you know what? I hate the enemy, and I like to put him to flight every chance I get. So I want you to begin building that confidence, that bridge of trust in yourself, that you really can trust yourself to make right decisions, to be capable, to move yourself into the plan of God for your life. It really does make the difference. And this belief aspect really is the missing piece. It changes everything. I'll throw this in before we wrap up today. You know, for me, you know, I do keep going back to weight loss, and I'm sorry because I keep saying this is not a weight loss podcast, but this is how God brought it to me. So you know what? That's how I've got to bring it to y'all till He shows me another way. But I needed to build the bridge of belief between my brain and my body. My brain was convinced that my body wasn't capable of losing weight, that it didn't want to lose weight, all of these things. But little by little, I began putting pieces in place that showed me that my brain and my body were meant to act as one, because y'all, they were, you know, they're created together. So yeah, that sounds silly, but it's true. They're meant to act as one. And when I began really believing in my body and my body's capabilities, I began listening to all the signals that my body was telling me about what to eat, how much to eat, what to drink, how much to drink, how much rest I needed, how much exercise I needed. You know, all of that. And I'm going to tell you, it came through journaling. I just have to be honest with you. It came through journaling. I just went at it every day. And that's why, you know, I'm going to bring it up, Journal with Jesus, because Jesus met me there every day. And I began uncovering all of the negative self-talk. That dialogue that had been going on in my brain for years that I didn't even recognize. And when I began building that bridge of belief, that confidence between my brain and my body, that's when things started shifting and moving for me. And that's what has moved me to the place of where I am today. And I have applied this in other areas. I just don't share all the other areas right here with you guys, but I can tell you I've got it in other areas. Like I've said, relationship, financial, spiritual for sure. And career-wise, all of these things. So I share these tools with you because I want you to have them. And I don't like to see the enemy run in your life. I've been there. I've been run ragged, run in circles, run around the same mountain over and over again. And you know what? You don't have to live like that. You just don't have to live like that. So this is what I'm sharing with you this week. Let's build that bridge of belief. You can do that. I'm here to help you in any way that I can. You can always message me, and we'll see how we can walk this out together. But for this week, I want you to ponder that, and I want you to think about creating evidence of all the things you are capable of, of all the things that you are capable of, and all of the things that God has done for you, and create that evidence that you can have the life that He created you to live. Until next time. Thank you for spending time with me today on Outside the Pulpit. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend and follow the show so you never miss an episode. If you want to go deeper, you can join my private Facebook community called Willow, or explore spiritual growth mentorship, workshops, and other ways to walk this journey with me at lisametter.com. Until next time, uncover what's blocking you and discover what God sees in you.